My goodness, I don't know about you, but I found many of those words very appropriate for today. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Flint. Full disclosure, as I get started, that some of the pieces of the service will be different today. Full disclosure that Sue and I wrestled with what to say on this Sunday morning. And in fact, we didn't finish our words that we planned to deliver until this very morning. Our minister is the Reverend Teresa Soto, but she is away today. She will be present in spirit as I will read to you a letter addressed to you later in the service. Our worship leader today is the loving and the very dedicated and longtime member of this congregation, Sue Owens Kinsey. My name is Harold Ford, and I will serve as your worship associate. The welcome this morning, as I signal, will be less conventional, longer, and certainly more somber. It is difficult for me to approach the podium this morning with a spring in my step and a smile on my face. It's hard for me to be a cheerleader this morning. It's been a very difficult week for those of us who belong to a liberal, progressive religion that stands for social justice causes. And as I already said, it was difficult for Sue Kinsey to craft her message that she will deliver later today. She tore up the original draft after last week's events and tried to write another, tore up the second draft, I was informed this morning, and wrote a third one. And based on our conversation, I'm not at all certain that she's exactly found the words that she wants to use, and I'm not sure I have either. We are purposely wearing black today, the both of us, as did Johnny Cash. Listen to the words from his song, Man in Black, one stanza. I'd love to wear a rainbow every day and tell the world that everything's okay, but I'll try to carry off a little darkness on my back. Till things are brighter, I'm the man in black. This was a week of upsets. Yesterday in the NCAA, the number 2, 3, and 4 teams were upset, including my beloved Michigan. A bad penalty call, a field goal sneaking through the uprights with no time left on the clock, a 1-point loss. Michigan should have won. On paper, it was clearly the better team. But apparently they didn't prepare well enough and didn't perform well enough. I was less saddened when I put this loss in the context of the week's events. And I realized that Michigan's loss seemed an appropriate metaphor for what had happened earlier in the week in the Electoral College. The signs of change are already blowing in the wind. The dogs of racism, homophobia, and bigotry have been unleashed all over the nation. The stock prices for a pharmaceutical company soared with the realization that deregulation of that industry is on the way and profits will soar even more. The bones of the carcass that will be Obamacare are already being picked over by those who are coming to kill it. Progressives are girding for a Supreme Court that will savage social justice causes that many of us have fought for generations to come, the generations of our children and of our grandchildren. The system for transitioning American citizens to Canada broke down from overuse. The streets are full of fearful and angry people who know what's coming. And then there's the ultimate irony. The forces of bigotry, racism, and misogyny ask us all to unify and come together around this new world order. The ultimate irony. So this morning, I'm struggling between hope and hopelessness, between engagement and withdrawal. I'm trying to find comfort in my religion, Unitarian Universalism. I find some inspiration in all the social justice warriors that came before us, many of whom labored in even more difficult and challenging times. I think of Wait Still Sharp, a former minister of this church, and his wife Martha, who fought the good fight in times that were far more threatening and far more uncertain as they spirited endangered peoples from Nazi Europe in the World War II era. And I find some comfort in our very beautiful 7 principles that define our faith tradition. And as I conclude my welcome this morning, would you please look at the back of your bulletin and join me in a unison reading of those principles. They buoyed me this morning as I was preparing for this service. I'll do the introduction, and you join me in the bulleted 7 principles, please. The member congregations of the Unitarian Universalist Association covenant to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations, acceptance of one another, and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations, a free and responsible search for truth and meaning, the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and in our society at large, the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all, respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part.